Hello, everyone. Good evening. Let's wait for a few minutes. More people are joining in. Hi, Ayush, Niladri, Karan. I hope the screen looks better than the last session. We did some changes in the setting of the camera and everything. Hi, Piyush. Tips for algebra. I discussed that day before yesterday. Today we'll be solving VA and RC only. Today, the session is on VA RC. Yesterday it was LrDi. Day before that it was algebra. Prerak, teach every subject. Yeah, I do. Thanks for saying that. Good evening. Let's wait for a minute or two. Lot of people are joining. Joy will be doing a mix of both VA and RC, both the things together. The more people are joining, till then you can just look at the first. The first RC today will be on a poem. And if you guys are preparing for XAT, that is for XLRI and Xavier's Institute, in that case, poem-based RCs are there. The first poem that I have chosen is She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. Just get a hang of it. Some beautiful ladies on the screen. And this poem, She Walks in Beauty, is by Lord Byron. Lord Byron is considered to be the most romantic poet of all times. And this poem is basically, it is touted to be one of the best poems ever written in the history of literature. Anybody has read that poem earlier in your school time? I have seen this poem on T-shirts and even on the shoes. There's some designer who was using this poem on the shoes. I even made a video on this poem, which I hope all of you must have seen. How many are here who are not a part of iQuanta? Hello everyone. I'm just sharing the link with some groups. It'll take hardly 1 minute. How many of you feel that you are weak in English language? हाँ, अपने यहाँ बारिश नहीं हो रही है, गुड़गांव में सूखा पड़ा हुआ है. All right. Okay, there's one thing. There's something I want to share with you guys. This is something which is not in context of VARC, but something which you should know. It's about general knowledge. So this poet, as I said, Lord Byron. Lord Byron, I told you that he is considered to be the most romantic poet of all times. His daughter, his daughter is was called as Lady Ada Lovelace. So when you use Lord or Lady, what does that mean? Lord is basically Lord is used for people, for gentlemen who belong to royalty in some or other way. They are themselves royal or they are very close to royal family, right? In England. So that is we call them lords, and they have this huge lands and everything. And when you call someone lady, so lady, like today we call everyone as ladies, all the women are called ladies, but lady is basically an honorific title which is given to royal women. Lady Ada Lovelace was the first computer programmer of the world. Did you know that? You know that? Lady Ada Lovelace was the first computer programmer, and it happened in 18th century when Charles Babbage, the father of computers, made his first computer, which was basically the difference engine, analytical engine. So she was the one who programmed that engine. And so, I understand. But she had a very kind of depressing life. She was an alcoholic, heartbroken, pyar mein dhokha mila, and she died at an early age of, I guess, 39, 38. Lady Ada Lovelace. And if anybody of you is a computer programmer, they might be knowing there's a language called Ada, ADA. Ada is a tribute to Lady Ada Lovelace. And one thing more, she was a royal lady, very intelligent, depressed, and very beautiful. So you guys should read about her. Okay, so let's start with the passage. A poem, basically, She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. It goes like this. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies. Well, I'll do one thing to make you understand this poetry better. I have written some words which might be difficult for you guys. So these are those words. You can go through them. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies. Climes are regions in reference to its climates or climate. For example, you can say, okay, I'll go to some cold climes, summery climes, sunny climes. So climes are the region which are giving a reference to the climate. It can be warm, it can be hot, can be rainy, can be anything. All right, that is climes. So climb, the other meaning of climb is also climate. So cloudless climes. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that is best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. All right. So this lady, she is walking. She's a beautiful lady. She is walking in a cloudless climate. The climate is cloudless. There is no rain, and the sky have stars. So basically, what happens? You can imagine that. You can visualize it. There's an imagery. So when you walk around, and when there are no clouds, at that time you can see the stars clearly, isn't it? Right? So it happens. You must have seen when there are no clouds, then the stars are visible. Now, this thing is something which is a fact, which everybody knows. But poets use this in a kind of a magical tone. Like he said, of cloudless climes and starry skies. Now, if the climate is cloudless, of course there will be stars. But in poem, we kind of use it in such a way that it makes a visualization and imagery. All right? And all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. So she looks at all the things, the bright things, the dark things, all kind of things which are there in cloudless. So when there is no clouds, the stars are shining. At that time, if you can imagine something like that, you can see two kind of things. One are very dark and some are bright. Bright because of the reflection of moon or the reflection of stars. Thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to Gowdy day denies. So now look at this. Mellow is reducing the intensity of emotions or tempered by maturity and experience. So people say, I have mellowed down with age. That means I have become less aggressive. मैं ज़्यादा खुश रहने लगा हूँ. मैं ज़्यादा mind नहीं करता. Basically, I do not give any damn to anything. So mellowed down in personality, in temperament, in nature. That is mellowed. Well, Gowdy, extravagantly bright. So it says, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to Gowdy day denies. Now you must understand this. Here what is happening? So in between the heaven, there is a bright day. And because of the day is bright, so heaven's light is not reaching. It is being denied by the bright day. I can read a comment. Shambhavi, it's a VARC class only, Shambhavi. Well, one shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace. So you must have seen the faces. There are perspectives in photography or in painting. So you must have seen faces which have contrast, bright and dark contrast. And that is how the entire shape is visible, isn't it? Some people have nice cheekbones, so there is shadow beneath the cheekbone. This is the reference to all those things. When the shades are more or less, so it becomes half visible. Had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven tress. Raven is basically the crows. Crows are raven, but here, what do you think? Raven is crow, kawa. So here, when they are using raven, what does that mean? Why? And tress is hair. Raven tress, what does that mean? So raven over here is symbolism for the color black. I hope you get that. Black hair. Or softly lightens over her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. Whose dwelling place? Thoughts' dwelling place. Where thoughts are there, okay? The thoughts have a dwelling place. They are calm, serene, because this lady is very sorted, she's very beautiful, and she enjoys nature. So she is serene, has mellowed down, and her thoughts are residing in dwelling place, which is very sweet, very calm kind of thing. And on that cheek and over that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent. What is eloquent? A good speaker. And on that cheek and over that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent. The smiles that win, the tints that glow. So this lady is soft, calm, everything, but she has got an eloquence. And she is not speaking actually. Her body language is speaking. So she has got a vibe, and that vibe is very eloquent. All right? The smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. So this poem is all about, okay, I want to ask you guys, what do you think? In just one or two lines, tell me what this poem is all about. Just one line or two lines. Sanjit, dwelling place is, of course, the mind of the lady. All right? So I would wish everyone to give me a one-liner summary of the entire poem. What do you interpret? Priyadeep says her beauty. Okay. In one line, you can just kind of extend the idea. Beauty of the lady, Sagata. Shades of women, Shambhavi says. Devrup says description of nature. All right. Shadow, a beautiful lady. Imagine good vibes. Beauty of an eloquent lady, beautiful girl with eloquent body language. All right, all right, all right. So, okay, I'll wait for more comments. Beauty of lady and mind, personality, beauty, and nature. Describing the nature, beauty with thoughts of her brains, beauty of a lady, happenings in mind of lady. Metaphorical comparison between her beauty and nature. Utkarsh, I like that comment. Well done, Utkarsh. Lady is so beautiful and justifies nature and characters of overall and thoughts. Good, Rahul. Well done. Expression of beauty, beauty of innocence of her love. Lady and all qualities I emphasize, beauty and brain. Okay, purity of her soul. Imaginary girlfriend, Harsha says. 50 shades of her. Okay, Gopesh. Tranquility, observation, admiring lady. All right. All right, all right, all right. Okay. So all of you have tried really well. This poetry is, of course, so lady is basically a metaphor. There is a chance, there is a probability, there is a possibility that there is no lady at all. The lady is basically the nature or the personification of all humans' thoughts. So in a way, Lord Byron has said that the beauty is not just outwardly. So if you have seen, he's not discussed about her eyes or her lips or the anatomical features of lady. Has he? Now tell me something. Has the poet talked about the physical appearance of the lady anywhere? So if you think it's about the lady and the beauty, it's not exactly true. It's partially true. So overall, it's not even a lady. It's basically a metaphor for the nature and for the human's thoughts and ambitions. So Lord Byron thinks of a lady who is moving around, looking at the nature, and she has already kind of aged, matured with experience, and now she is mellowed down, she's calm, composed, and in all those things, the memories that she has, the memories is all of the good things. She doesn't have bad things in memory. She doesn't have bad things in mind. It's just good. And she has made a peace, a peace. Now her mind is full of peace. And it also has been said that, so mind, when we talk about mind, it's the intelligence and ambitions. When we talk about love, it's basically the emotions. So her emotions are innocent. Lord Byron doesn't preach you whether you should behave like this, but he has just said, most beautiful thing is a mind at peace and an emotion which is innocent and a mind which is open to nature and observes and looks around. This is what the poem is all about. Okay? Yeah. Like some people are saying, mention about eyes and face, cheeks, smiles, and brows. But in all those things, he has just talked about the cheeks and brows because they are the contours of, for example, if you talk about the nose, this can be a mountain. Talk about lips, lips can be basically the horizon. But he has not talked about how beautiful the lips or the cheeks or the eyes are. So that those organs, organs on face are basically, the parts of it are basically the metaphors for nature and emotions. Got it? Got it, everyone? Cool? Okay. How many of you love literature, poetry, novels, stories? Let us go to the first question. I have the poem is here in case you want to refer to it. And the first question is, identify the figure of speech used in the first line of the poem. First line of the poem. Illuminati. I read your comment. It's D 7 times. Okay. So first of all, I will just explain what these words actually mean. There might be people who do not know the meanings of these words. Metaphor and simile. First of all, I explain these two. So when we compare two things, all right, when we compare two things, we either use simile or metaphor. In simile, we use the words as, for example, as serene as water, as clear as crystal. Okay, so or we can use like. So when we use these kind of words as like or more similar words to compare two things, like you are like Shakespeare, so that will be simile. But if you say you are Shakespeare, that means it's a metaphor. All right, so this is a very simple explanation of metaphor and simile. Metaphors, the words are used in which just have to, by the context, by the surrounding statements around it, you'll have to imagine that this word is not exactly the way it is used. It is basically comparing or synonymous or analogous to something which is not given directly in the statement. Clear? Is that clear? Like someone said, simile is direct comparison, metaphor is indirect comparison. That's right. If I want to explain it in Hindi, a lot of people must have read this. Simile is upma, metaphor is rupak, in case you know that. आपका चेहरा चांद जैसा है, आपका चेहरा चांद है. तो पहला क्या है? Simile, second one is metaphor. Clear? Now, hyperbole. Hyperbole is exaggeration. You know, when you exaggerate things, which happens in poems, which happens in superhero movies, which happens in epics, religious poems. For example, he had the strength of 3,000 bulls. All right? He had the strength of 3,000 bulls. That's, of course, an exaggeration. It is, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप झूठ बोल रहे हो. मतलब ये है कि, of course, he was very strong, but in poetic language, or just to make an impact, to create an impact, we use this kind of words that he has power of 1,000 bulls. Right? In Hindi, if anybody has read Ramcharitmanas or Ramayana, in that exaggeration is used in a lot of cases where Lord Hanuman has been there. Like in Sundarkand, a lot of exaggeration has been used. Like he lifted the entire mountain out of the earth. You remember that? When Lord Hanuman was asked to bring Sanjeevani booty by Lord Ram for Lord Lakshman, he went there, he could not find the Sanjeevani booty. He basically, he ungrounded the entire mountain. That is exaggeration. Clear? Or like Rahul said, Chand tare tod laun, Atishayokti alankar in Hindi. Personification is manavikaran. So basically, when you when you assume or when you kind of give some attributes, living attributes to non-living things. For example, winds blow. Winds blow. All right. So winds are moving, or we can say thoughts are crawling. So all these things not actually crawl, move, walk, blow. We are basically personifying them. You got that? Clear? So that is personification. Now, going back to the question, and a lot of people said personification is the answer. And the reason I use personification is this only because you guys have got it wrong. The correct answer is simile. I'll tell you why. The first line, she walks in beauty like the night. Like is simile. Now you will say, sir, personification be a night be a, not exactly. She walks in beauty like the night. Agar likha hota night walks like her, then it would have been personification because night is non-living. She is a living thing. She's a living body, right? She is a lady. Lady को night जैसा बताया गया, it's not personification. Do you understand that? And just for this simple thing, all of you got it wrong. And that's really sad. Answer is simile. How many of you got the correct answer? Next question. What does the poet want to convey from one shade to nameless grace? It's talking about the second stanza, this to this. What does the poet want to convey? Great. So read those lines again and tell me what could be the correct answer. Option A says a strong beam of light has partially impaired the face of the woman. B says the woman's face doesn't shine as brightly in a dark shade as it normally does. C, a shade more or less would diminish the beauty of the woman. D, since the woman is nameless, a shade of light will give her the deserved attention. Faisal, personification is giving living attributes to non-living things. Thoughts moving. Life is moving, the best personification, because life is not a person. Wow. A lot of people marked C, and C is the correct answer. Well done, guys. C is the correct answer. As it says here, one shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace. So, grace ही खत्म हो जा रहा है. So basically, a shadow more or less would diminish the beauty of the woman. The entire grace is lost. So yeah, C is the most correct option. Rest are partially correct or completely incorrect. All right. The first statement says a strong beam of light. But यहाँ पे strong की बात भी की गई है और weak वाले की बात भी की गई है. But option A is talking about only about strong, so it cannot be true. Face doesn't shine in dark shade. Normally does. It has not been mentioned. This thing is a fact, but it's not mentioned in the poem. No. Women is nameless. Shade of light will give her the deserved attention. This is something out of context. So of course this would not be there. And this would be the most correct option. Well done, guys. Here comes the third question. Which of the following is not the intended meaning of Gowdy in the last line of the first stanza? Okay, do you know this? In a passage, we call paragraphs. In a poem, we call it stanzas. I hope you know this. Stanza, first stanza, second stanza, third stanza. There are 3 stanzas in this poem. They're not paragraphs. So never call them paragraphs ever in your life. In third stanza, last line of first stanza. So first and the last line, this one, is not the intended meaning. This is contextual vocabulary question. Scrumptious, flashy, tasteless, glaring. Which one would be the correct answer? In fact, I told you meaning of Gowdy already. So I think all of you will answer it correctly. Some people are saying it's C, some are saying it's A. Okay. साक्षी मैंने ये पोएम समझाने से पहले सारी मीनिंग समझाई थी. Alright. Gowdy is basically extravagantly bright, flashy, and it is so extravagantly flashy that you lose taste in it. होता है ना? For example, this Neha Kakkad song. They are so flashy, so loud that you start hating it, probably. I don't know. Some people might be fans of her, but normally, or this Honey Singh or Badshah, so all these guys are so flashy, their songs are so flashy, the videos are so flashy that you might enjoy it for some time, but you become distasteful of it. Right? Clear? So, यहाँ पे हमें ये नहीं बताना कि इसका एंटोनिम क्या है. It says not the intended meaning. So you don't have to find the antonym, just to find which one is not the intended meaning. All right? So, Gowdy is something which is so flashy it becomes distasteful. Flashy तो इसका meaning है. Tasteless हो गया है ना. Day is denying. So, tasteless. Glaring, again it's flashy. Scrumptious क्या होता है? A very tasty meal. Very tasty meal, food, that is scrumptious. Like, I had some scrumptious desserts. That was the best example. Yeah, I thought of something, a simple example which all of you can relate to. But and sorry for those who like Sonika Kakkar, Rahul, Tony Kakkar, what is the name? Neha Kakkar and Badshah and Honey Singh. So if you guys some like them, so I'm sorry for that. But we're just talking about the normal people, the normal. What do you say? Normal thought. Okay, not देखा ही नहीं अंजलि. ये बहुत important. This is something which I have been telling in all my classes that you guys are in the in the previous class of Quant. I said that a lot of people do not look at these kind of words. Not, least likely, most likely, and that is why you kind of answer it wrong confidently. Okay, here comes the fourth question. The beauty of the women is not compared to A, association of dark and light, long black hair, a beautiful landscape, D, none of these. Okay, Niharika. Yeah, I was trying to cover it up actually. You got me. Okay, so we have answers here, C, B, C. Rano, last question, correct answer? What was that? Scrumptious. Scrumptious is tasty meal. So that is not the meaning. A, B, C, D. So I'm getting all sorts of answers over here. Okay, let me get some more answers, then we'll discuss about this. Beauty of the women is not compared to. Okay, so as we discussed that there's a high possibility that the poet is talking about nature from the perspective of a woman. Okay, there's a high possibility. But if you look at the entire poem, the beauty specifically has not been compared to the landscape. Dark and light association, it has been talked about because of the dark and light in here. One shade the more, one ray the less. It's being compared. Association of dark and light. Long black hair, raven tress, it's there. Raven tress. As I said, raven is crow, but here crow is denoting the color black. Raven tress, black hair. A beautiful landscape. Nowhere in the poem, her beauty has been compared to a beautiful landscape. What's a landscape? Landscape, when you, like I'm standing over here, there's things that I can see in nature, that is a landscape for me. Not the entire nature, the things that I can see directly. So, nowhere the landscape has been compared, or lady has been compared to the landscape. So, C is the correct answer over here. And this question is actually confusing. A lot of you might be thinking that none of this should be the answer, but no. It's a beautiful landscape. So what happens over here? Why you do it wrong? I'll tell you why. The thing is that your mind doesn't register beauty of the women specifically, not compared to. So you're thinking about the woman. So you said, okay, women has been compared to nature somehow, but has the beauty been compared? Not exactly. And that is why C is wrong. So these things should be kept in mind while answering a VARC set in management entrance. अगर नॉर्मल बात करनी है तो हम बोल सकते हैं कि हाँ उनकी ब्यूटी कंपेयर किया गया होगा, बट इन एक्चुअलिटी इट्स नॉट देयर. Faisal, is it true? A lot of people are answering randomly. Okay, so tell me something. We did Quant, Algebra, we did LrDi, and that is something which people feel it's a pain point. Maths padhne ho jayega. It's been seen, like I have been teaching for last close to 9 years, 8.5 years, and I have seen a lot of people, they score well in Quant, and they score well in LrDi as well. But somehow they do not clear the cutoff of VARC, and that is why they do not get a call from IIMs. This is something which happens a lot of times, and if you ask your seniors, they will tell you the same thing. There was a student of mine who got 99 point something in both LrDi and Quant. In verbal, he got 78 point something, and as a result, he did not get call from any of the IIMs. So, VARC is actually very important. You need to clear the cutoff. Are you guys actually enjoying this sort of, the poems, the art that I used over here? The reason for me of using over here is in CAT you won't get this kind of, beautiful pictures. It's just that you feel connected to whatever I am saying over here, whatever the passage is talking about, and as a result, you will be more connected to the passage. It happens like people do not have a habit to read. That is a kind of very natural. People do not read these days, they just watch stuff. So when they do not read, they're not interested in reading. Some people might be reading philosophy, but not science. So all these things because in my capacity, before CAT, I can do this, that I can show you some pictures and give you relatable examples, but in CAT, it won't happen. You have 2 months, and in these 2 months, you have to develop your imagination. So when you read something, those things start coming in front of you already. Poem पढ़ते ही दिखना चाहिए कि भाई ये है. Passage पढ़ते दिखना चाहिए कि ये चीजें हो रही हैं. So when you start imagining, you get it correctly. Okay, Mahesh, improve कैसे करें VARC? The most सबसे जो important है, most important thing is imagination. Start imagining. You read something, just go and be there. If you're reading a story, be in the story. If you're reading a passage, be in that passage. And that is the only way you can understand. Because all of you are intelligent guys, it's just that you do not find the interest over there. So this is very important. Devru poem cat में नहीं zat में आती है, which I mentioned in the beginning of the session. Now comes parajumbles. The second part is parajumbles, detective versus thriller stories. रौनक, हाँ मुझे पता है, बोरिंग लगता है इसीलिए. You just have to start imagining. Let's do that. Parajumbles, detective versus thriller stories. Here comes the first parajumble. There are 4 sentences. You'll just have to arrange them in a proper sequence and tell me the answer. A lot of people are asking same question again, and I'm repeating. Poem doesn't come in cat, it comes in ZAT. XAT. Try to solve this one. Just step aside so that the entire screen is visible to you and tell me the answer. All right. So I have got enough answers. Let us try to explore the options one by one. The people who have already been taught by me, they know a technique which I use, and you might also be using the same technique. Those who have not studied from me, for them, I'll just tell you a technique how to get parajumbles sorted. So, as I talked about the interest in reading, people have interest in certain types of reading, certain types of genre, and like they might love science but not business. So, for them, what has to be done? If you look at this, even if you don't read everything, just by looking at this, you might get you would be feeling attracted to one sentence, the most attractive sentence. Which one is that? That is called the soul sentence. Abhishek just mentioned that. So if you look at this, you just find one sentence which connects to you. So whatever connects to you, you pick that sentence and then try to read it individually and then with the other sentences. You'll automatically get that which one should come first and which one should be preceding or succeeding your soul sentence. Soul, Atma, jo aapki Atma ko acha laga. So, my soul sentence, if I start choosing it, will be C. This may be true for the readers of thrillers, but it is quite false for the reader of detective stories. Why I chose it? Because nothing was attractive to me. So I chose something which was the shortest one. Okay, that is one of the ways. This may be true for the readers of thrillers, but it is quite false for the reader of detective stories. this, it might be, it is quite, so something has been mentioned before this. So of course, C cannot open the statement, right? Is that understood? This may be true. What may be true? किस बात को सही बोल रहा है वो? So we'll have to read the entire, all this in one by one. On the contrary, of course, C से connected नहीं है. The magic formula is an, in a sense, this can be. But it is very long, so I'll read the shorter one first. If I read D, it is sometimes said, it looks like an opening statement. It is sometimes said. कभी-कभी ये कहा जाता है. It is sometimes said that detective stories are read by respectable law-abiding citizens in order to gratify in fantasy the violent or murderous wishes they do not or are ashamed to translate into action. Okay. So basically this is a kind of a survey or maybe an interpretation that detective stories are read by people who are good and they don't want to act on their aggression, on their anger, on their whims and on their vengeance or avengeful spirit. So they are the ones who read detective stories because now they know that while reading detective stories, there is some kind of morality, ethics which will come in and we won't be doing that action. This is what D says. D can be an opening statement, but as I said, D and B both look like opening statement. Let us read B as well. But before that, now we know that C, our sole sentence, this and it can very well connect to D. So D and C can be a probable pair, but we will read B first to justify our thought. Okay, so DC is a probable pair before reading B. Let us read B. The magic formula is an innocence which is discovered to contain guilt, then a suspicion of being the guilty one, and finally a real innocence from which the guilt has been expelled, a cure effected by the miraculous intervention of a genius from outside who removes guilt by giving knowledge of guilt. Genius ki baat ki. This genius is basically the detective who is doing all this stuff. So of course B cannot open the statement. The paragraph B looks more like a conclusion. All right, conclusion about a detective. Cool? Got it? So D, then C. Let's read A. On the contrary. तो कुछ हो रहा है उसके contrary में कुछ और हो रहा है. ये वाली बात है. Okay. So now we are sure that D is opening it and C is following it. Now we just have to talk about where A and B comes. As I said, B looks like a concluding statement. Let us try to find out it's true or not. So let us read D, C again. Sometimes said detective stories read by respected law citizens. All that stuff is there. This may be true for readers of thrillers, but it is quite false for the reader of detective stories. On the contrary, so यहाँ बात किसकी गई है कि thriller stories वालों के लिए readers के लिए ठीक होगा, but detective वालों के लिए गलत होगा. On the contrary, the magical satisfaction the latter provides. Word latter has been used. Latter is what? Latter is detective stories. Latter provides, which makes them escape literature, not works of art, is the illusion of being dissociated from the murderer. So you will feel dissociated only when you are not the murderer, you are the one who is looking for the murderer, that is the detective. So D, C के बाद A perfectly fits, and then as I said, B is the conclusion. D, C, A, B is the answer, which a lot of you have already got correct. Cool? Great. So as I've seen, 70 to 80% people have answered correctly. Well done, guys. And those who have not, I think they would be a bit sorted now. Those who are new students, just now joined, they might be now be getting an idea that you have to find the sentence which attracts you the most, and that is how you will get it correct always. Clear? Shambhavi, you are sorted? Cool. Let us solve an odd one out. I'm just giving you a glimpse of what we are going to do in the complete crash course. I hope the message is clear. It's the pre-CAT crash course. Let us try to do one odd one out. Okay, look at the picture first of all. Tell me what do you think, what comes to your mind when you look at this picture? Tell me about it. Priyanshu, you asked what is euphemism, and you retracted the message. Euphemism is the art of praising someone unconditionally and more than required. That is euphemism. Okay? Priyanshu, got that? Anshul, what happened? Opening अच्छी थी, ending खराब हो गई. गलत आंसर आ रहे हैं आपके. Shambhavi, the pre-crash course 30th till 30th. Physical abuse, racism, assault, nasty, unusual attempt to enter, resistance, harassment, all that stuff. Cool. Cool. And if you can see something, this dark hand is masculine, looks like a man's hand, and this one looks, very soft. If it is not looking soft to you, look at this nail paint, which is usually worn by women, isn't it? So when I look at this picture, what comes in my mind? It comes domestic violence against females or sexual harassment. That is what comes to my mind. So did you identify this? And there's one thing more, one thing more. There's an exam called MICAT. MICAT. For MICA. MICA is an institute, Mudra Institute of Communication and Advertising in Ahmedabad. And this is the best institute for branding and communication advertising. So there, these kind of things are actually asked in the exam. Such an interesting exam. You'll look at the picture and you'll try to interpret what the picture actually means. So that is MICAT. We'll do that also, probably in the month of December or November. And that is such a great, cool exam. For the people who think they are artists or very creative, they should go to MICA if they want to go into branding and all that stuff. Cool. Okay, let us go to the sentences. We have 5 sentences over here. Odd one out can be asked in various ways. One of the ways is to ask in form of para-jumble. So what happens out of 5 sentences, 4 can form a paragraph, but 1 cannot. That is one of the ways to ask an odd one out. The other is there are 5 sentences, 4 look alike, and 1 is, doesn't fit in the context. So those things. There are 2 ways to ask an odd one out question. Let us look at this. Okay, read it all on your own and tell me. This one is basically para-jumble based. There are 4 sentences which would create a paragraph, but 1 would not. You will have to tell me 2 answers. One, that which sentence is the odd one out, which is very easy to guess. The difficult part is to guess the sequence of the correct statements. Okay? Let's do that. I'm just stepping aside. Look at this and try to answer. All right. By the way, this question asks only about odd one out. I was asking the order, which is not required in CAT. They'll just ask the odd one out. So if I read everything, again, let us choose a sole sentence. Richard Meyer, this one, it is, kind of opening the paragraph. It's so evident from, just by looking at this, these two, 4 and 5 are dialogues. So they cannot open. They can open, but the possibility is low. Third is the sole sentence. Richard Meyer, one of the world's most renowned architects, has stepped down as head of his firm following sexual harassment accusations from several women going back decades. All right. While our recollections, I'm deeply troubled. ये तो dialogues लग रहे हैं, कोई शायद statement थी. 2 देखते हैं. 4 women who worked with Meyer. This 3 is followed by 2. It is so easy to guess. 3 and 2. 4 women, क्योंकि यहाँ बताया गया कि there are several women. 4 women who worked with Meyer and a 5th who met him on a project have detailed encounters in which they say he sexually harassed them. There are detailed encounters, जो कि 4 या 5 में किसी में होंगे. 3 and 2, of course, is there. All right, but let's read the first also. His signature style of minimal geometric modernist buildings, invariably white, has kept him at top of his profession since the 1980s. So when third one opens about he is the one of the most renowned architects, and then followed by the sexual accusations. So of course, one should not follow 3. अगर ये statement यहीं पे रुक जाता, most renowned architects, फिर first आना चाहिए. He is the architect, and now they talk about his architecture style, so one cannot follow. I hope that is clear to everyone. So the third statement, this statement ends at sexual harassment, and second, kind of just builds up over these accusations from several women. Now we should talk about detailed encounters. If you look at this, while our recollections may differ, okay, which looks like 4-5 लोगों से बात की गई, सबसे अलग-अलग बातें हुई थी. 5th, I am, this looks like the perfect opening one. I'm deeply troubled and embarrassed by the accounts of several women who were offended by my words and actions, said Mayer in a statement on his website. While our recollections may differ, I sincerely apologize to anyone who was offended by my behavior. Effective today, I'm taking a 6-month leave of absence as a founder and a managing partner. He added. Add कोई बंदा क्या करेगा बोलने के बाद. So 5th should be there. And then we should have 4. 3 to 5 is the correct one, and 1 is the odd one out. The reason is very simple, that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, these statements talk about the accusations, the legal accusations, but first one talks about his proficiency in proficiency in architecture. So first one is, of course, odd one out. I hope that is clear. Cool. Next. Now we'll be doing a reading comprehension set based on post-World War business in United States. All right, let's do this. In the decades following World War II, American business had undisputed control of the world economy, producing goods of such high quality and low cost that foreign corporations were unable to compete. Very simple statement and easily understandable. But in the mid-1960s, okay, when did World War II end? Who will tell me? When did this war end? But in the mid-1960s, the United States began to lose its advantage, and by the 1980s, American corporations lagged behind the competition in many industries. Okay, 1960s में कम होना शुरू हुआ, 80s में they lagged behind. In the computer chip industry, for example, American corporations had lost most of both domestic and foreign markets by the early 1980s. The first analysts who examined the decline of American business blamed the US government, which is very common for us Indians also. होता है ना, सड़क पे गड्ढा है तो मोदी क्या कर रहे हैं. I hope you know about that. Well, so it is, kind of in a democracy, this is the first thing which, people do, and which is not wrong, I would say, because in democracy, we have the rights to kind of question the government for everything. We should or we should not, I am not endorsing that, but we have the right to question, and that is all right for a democracy. And I hope all of you know that the world's two largest democracies are India, number one, and then number two is US. Right? You know that, right? The two largest democracies, and US is the third most populous country, and India is second. So if I talk about close to 50% of humans are living in a democratic setup, which is really very good. And I hope that the entire world runs through democracy. That will be the best thing for the entire world. And some are pseudo democracies as well, like Pakistan. So when the democracies are there, automatically people have this power to challenge the government. And as Abraham Lincoln famously said, which I think you know, Abraham Lincoln famously said about democracy, government is by the people, of the people, for the people. By the people, of the people, and for the people. So that is how democracy can be summed up by just 3 phrases by late President Abraham Lincoln. I hope all of you know about this. If you do not, just read it, wrote it down somewhere. Government is by the people, for the people, and of the people. Okay. They argue that stringent governmental restrictions on the behavior of American corporations, combined with the wholehearted support given to foreign firms by their governments, created an environment in which American products could not compete. Okay? So, ऐसे ही नहीं उन्होंने ऐसे ही बदनाम कर गवर्नमेंट बोल दे ब्लेम तुमने गलत किया. No. They had proper reasoning. The reasoning was that they are having stringent restrictions on behavior of American corporations. भाई हमारे देश के जो उनको तो बहुत stringent हो, बड़े rigid हो आप कि ये law नहीं पास हुआ, वो नहीं चल रहा, etc. etc. And they also said that they are giving support to foreign firms, which is right now, even in India, people are complaining about that government has restrictions on Indian companies, the Indian businessmen, the small business cannot run their business because this high GST, 18%. If you earn 18, you will get, if you earn 100, you will give away 18. Apart from that, whatever you buy, purchase, any kind of service or good, you will again have to pay 18%. So all in all, people in India are paying close to 40% of the taxes. And that is why they have this complaint. The businesses are not the way they were earlier. Anyways, which might have happened in America. So I'm just drawing a parallel so that you can relate to this passage. Got that? Are you understanding this? There's a parallel to our present situation, which is there in this passage in America in 1980s. Okay. Later analysts blamed predatory corporate raiders who bought corporations not to make them more competitive in the face of foreign competition, but rather to sell off the most lucrative divisions for huge profits. Again, an Indian analogy. The powerful corporations are basically buying out everything. Still, later analysts blamed the American workforce, citing labor demands and poor productivity as the reasons American corporations have been unable to compete with Japanese and European firms. तो एक रीजन ये भी बता दिया गया कि भाई हमारे जो लोग हैं वही काम नहीं कर रहे, लोग ही काम चोर हैं. Right? So ये भी होता है कि भाई they have their demands, they're creating this group, ये सब चीजें चल रही हैं, गुटबाजी चल रही हैं, there's a union leader, you must have, वो देखा है ना अमिताभ बच्चन की मूवी 70s 80s की, कुली दीवार ये सब है ना, यूनियन लीडर बन रहा है, उसको मार दो, मजदूरों को इकट्ठा कर रहा है, गोली मार दो. You must have seen all that stuff in 70s 80s वाली movies. Okay, so तो एक बहुत ही नॉर्मल बात है. America had become rich. It got independence in 1757. It's 190 years before we got independence. So when a country has its democracy and economics sorted, people become happy. When people become happy, they work less. You believe in that? So see, what I'm explaining over here is I'm not endorsing any country or any concept. What I'm saying that these things are very natural. So what had happened in America would happen now in India. I'll tell you why. So I'll repeat. America won independence 1757. They became independent. Now the people had this sense of pride, sense of nationalism. The good leaders over there. So इतने सालों में 100 साल 125 years के बाद these things started happening. So till the time now people, when they have everything, they become happy. Once they become happy, they work less. That can be a reality. But Japan is an example which rose at a very fast pace. And the reason was again Second World War. Second World War, isn't it? So in Second World War, what happened? Japan was at the brunt of the conclusion of the war. So the 2 bombs were thrown on Japan. You know that after Pearl Harbor attack. After Pearl Harbor attack, you know that. And the war ended, but 2 cities were completely destroyed: Nagasaki and Hiroshima. The bomb's name, in case you don't know, was Fat Man, and I hope it's a big boy. Just go it out. So these bombs were dropped, and people were so much devastated. So they worked for extra hours, which is still happening. It's still happening, isn't it? In Japan, like Japan is new. अभी उनको 70 साल हुए हैं उस एटम बॉम्ब की चपेट से बाहर आए हुए. So they are working as fast as they can so that they can compete or probably overthrow American industries in future. That is what they are doing. All right. Utkarsh, I hope I answered your query. Little boy and the fat man. Right. Great. So I think all of you are now able to understand. Ab batao, the things which I am telling you over here and showing, all these things. This is something, if you would have read this paragraph on your own, these things would not be coming to your mind. Does that happen? The reason is that you're looking at it as a task. यार ये टास्क कंप्लीट करना है, इन लोगों ने बोला है एक RC सेट लगाना है, एवरीडे प्रैक्टिस करनी है, फटाफट करो, आगे बढ़ जाओ. So when you consider it as a task, you won't be connected to it. You won't be thinking like this. Okay, so see, I do not have a magic potion which can directly give you. What I can tell you that my experience, how I read this, understand this, and from my example, you can probably, be benefited. So when I read all this stuff, a lot of information comes to my mind from various sources. Information is with you also, but you should consider it as your, a kind of, I would say, love, God, or whatever, religion. Itna jab pyar hoga us cheez se, then only you will be able to think the way we are doing it over here. Right? It's not that you have less information or your vocab is less, probably a bit lesser than me, but it's not less. You guys are intelligent, well educated, but you'll have to start loving this thing, then only you will be able to think like this. All right, I hope this would actually help you a bit. All right, so coming back to the paragraph, Japanese and European firms. Finally, a few analysts even censured the American consumers for their unpatriotic purchases of foreign goods. ये भी होता है. This is so relatable to India, isn't it? Swadeshi movement चला दो. Swadeshi movement चला दो. Right? It is happening in India also. So unpatriotic purchases of foreign goods. लोगों ने बोल दिया कि यार अमेरिका वाले चाहते बाहर हम चलाएंगे गाड़ी जर्मनी की. That happened, right? जर्मनी का BMW चलाएंगे, यहाँ का Ford नहीं चलाएंगे. Ford is American. I think you guys know it. So these things actually happen. Like nowadays, we also do the same. We'd love to buy something American, things from FMCGs from Amway, which is American, but not from Patanjali. People are doing that nowadays, but this is something which is a kind of colonial hangover, or we are attracted more towards white skin. In America, they're attracted more towards European culture. All right. Going forward. Okay. The blame actually lies with corporate management, which has made serious errors based on misconceptions about what it takes to be successful in the marketplace. अब एक नई बात आ गई. Corporate management has the faults. These missteps involve labor costs, production choices, and growth strategies. And you know what? Till here, one thing is coming to my mind, which is very much relevant to you guys, and this is why management education came into existence. कि management सही हो ही नहीं रहा था. And management education means MBA. MBA means CAT preparation, which means people like us. So this thing kind of is the harsh, or you would say sweet, truth of your present life. Even though labor costs typically account for less than 15% of product's total cost, management has been quick to blame the costs of workers' wages for driving up prices, making American goods uncompetitive. As a result of attempts to minimize the cost of wages, American corporations have had trouble recruiting and retaining skilled workers. This is a very common problem. Now, this is about the HR in MBA HR. The emphasis on cost minimization has also led to another blunder, an over-concentration on high technology products. Many foreign firms began by specializing in the mass production and sale of low technology products, like China nowadays, mass and low technology products, gaining valuable experience and earning tremendous profits. Totally story of China in present day. Later, these corporations were able to break into high technology markets without much trouble, which happened with the latest models of OnePlus. They simply applied their previous manufacturing experience and ample financial resources to the production of higher quality goods. American business has consistently ignored this very sensible approach. The recent rash of corporate mergers and acquisitions in the US has not helped the situation either. While American firms have neglected long-range planning and production, preferring instead to reap fast profits through mergers and acquisitions, foreign firms have been quick to exploit opportunities to ensure their domination over future markets by investing in the streamlining and modernization of their facilities. So mergers and acquisitions are happening nowadays in a very quick-paced manner, and like you say, this company is valued at this much. So all these things, basically, they are a hype is created. It's the paper money. It's basically, we'll come to that in some other class, how that stuff happens. If you're interested in that, we'll do it in GD and PI preparation. I'll talk about this, how companies are evaluated. So mergers, acquisitions, they are not actually creating any profits. It just looks like profit. It is not the profit. And that is why the simplistic approach would actually be, it actually makes the real deal, the real profit. Got it? So I think you must have got a lot of knowledge from this passage, a lot of motivation as well, that why MBA is important because of this shit. So let us go on to the questions. All right. Understood, everyone. And I'm so happy nobody is commendable and listening to it so carefully. I love you guys. Let's do the questions now. The first question. The passage suggests that compared to Japanese workers, American workers are often considered. We have 4 options here. People are saying B and C. Okay. All right. So as you can see here, in the third paragraph, it is said, citing labor demands and poor productivity as the reasons. So poor productivity is about being less efficient. When you're demanding a lot, that means you are less content. So the answer is C. Less content because you are having demands, and less efficient because the productivity is poor. So C is the correct answer, not B. Okay, got it? A lot of you would have missed this labor demands, and that is why you would have marked B, but C is the correct answer. I hope this is clear to everyone. An easy question, but a tricky one. As I can see, 50% of people got it wrong. And Ria is marking D. Ria is in some other world. She is saying it's D. Why, Ria? Less content, more efficient. Really? American कब से हो गए? You know, Ria, what you have done? I think you have just, reversed the order. तुम्हें लगा कि American वर्ग Japanese की बात हो रही है. So Ria wrote something which is entirely opposite from what should be the answer. 2. With which of the following general statements would the author most likely not agree? अब मैं बता रहा हूं, ये नॉट अग्री लिखा है, देख लेना ध्यान से. नॉट नॉट नॉट. ओके, मोस्ट लाइकली अग्री मत कर देना. Aditya, see, less content is clever because they have demands. When do you demand? Because you are less content. तुक्का सही हो गया. प्रॉफिट. ओके, प्रॉफिट क्या नाम है आपका? All right. So here he is not agreeing to. Let us explore the options one by one. The first one says American business has been hurt by the inability to plan for the long term. He would agree with this. The author is already critical of American and this business, so he would agree with this. This cannot be the answer. B. Cutting production costs always leads to increased competitiveness. Not really, because even they have cut the production cost, still it has not benefited. So there is no relation between the production cost and the competitiveness. Okay, so this, and there can be relation, but the author would not agree with it. Right? See, Americans consumers are not the prime cause of the decline of American business. He will agree with this. वो बोलेगा नहीं, सिर्फ consumers नहीं है, 4-5 चीजें और हैं. So यहाँ पे देखो, here it is not, here it is not. Now look at this. Two nots, two negatives make a positive, right? C cannot be the answer. D, initial analysis of the decline of American business yielded only partially accurate conclusions. He would agree with this. And that is why there have been a lot of analysts. There are like 4 levels of analysis which is going on. Initial, he was, if it was totally correct, why would the other analyst be there? So this is something which the author would agree with. This cannot be the answer. B is the most appropriate choice. All of you have got B? Well done. Here comes the next question. Which of the following would most weaken the author's argument? Okay, last question was a critical reasoning question. There was the words like least likely, most likely, all those, are critical reasoning. This is also a critical reasoning question. In CAT, they do not ask critical reasoning questions separately. They are the part of RC only. So weaken the author's argument. Okay, weaken. So basically, all these arguments are independent of the passage. Here you have to assume all the arguments to be correct, and based on that, you'll have to reason out whether these arguments would weaken the author's argument or not. Okay, let us do that. The first one says producing low-tech products is not as profitable as producing high-tech products. Okay, do it on your own first, and then I'll tell the answer. People are divided between A and B. Most of you say it's B. Okay, I'll just, tell you. If you look at option B, it says manufacturing high-tech products is a completely different process than manufacturing low-tech goods. Okay. So if you look at the author's argument about this, we discussed on this, like I gave the example of China. First of all, they create the low-tech goods. Once they do that at lower prices, that is, they create some profit. Then they invest in the high-tech goods. That is what the author's opinion is. Okay, so first you get the experience at low technology, then go on to the high technology. Right? You get that? So basically, author is talking about, first of all, you get some experience with the low-tech products, and then you go to the high-tech products. Now, if this statement is true, that producing high-tech and low-tech products is altogether different thing, then even if you get the experience at low-tech, you won't be able to create the high-tech products. Isn't it? So if statement B is true, then the author's argument becomes flawed. Author क्या बोल रहा है? Low-tech बनाओ, experience लो, फिर high-tech बनाओ. ये क्या बोल रहा है भाई? हाईटेक और लोटेक दो अलग अलग बातें हैं. तो अगर ये बात सही हो गई तो ऑटोमेटिकली ऑथर स्टेटमेंट वुड बी फ्लॉड. इज दैट क्लियर? Is that clear? That is why if B is true, it would weaken the author's argument. Clear? I just looked at some comment. Aditya, you can, just always go to the website and they have this customer product whatever the numbers are there, you can just go there. There's some representative who would, talk to you. Just call them or drop a message. On website, everything is there. Well, this is clear, right? So, like some people say, why not A, why not C? We'll come to that also. Why not A? A says producing low-tech products is not as profitable as producing high-tech products. तो ये weekend strengthen कर देगा ना भाई? Abdullah, Anish, this would strengthen. कि लो-टेक प्रोडक्ट्स में तो कम प्रॉफिट है, हाई-टेक में ज्यादा है, तो भाई वो तो अच्छी बात हो गई ना. This will strengthen. हमें पूछा गया है, which will weaken. So A. That's why A is not correct. And if I talk about C, like Chetna asked, see, most of the low-tech products purchased by Americans are made by foreign firms. इस बात से फर्क ही नहीं पड़ेगा, ना वीकन करेगा ना स्ट्रेंथन करेगा, right? Right. So C is, of course, it's out of context. It has got no effect. It's an independent statement. C cannot be true. And A, someone just asked Kaushik. I kind of explained that, but I'll just repeat it once. This talks about that concentration on high technology products should be there. A says low tech products बनाने से इतना profit नहीं है जितना high tech product बनाने में है. जो strengthen कर दिया ना इसने बात को, weaken कहाँ किया? तो high tech product बनाने का फायदा है तो high tech बनाएंगे हम तो, right? Kaushik, I think you got that. Ashish, okay, sorry Ashish, not Anish. Abdullah says A is weakening. Why do you think so, Abdullah? It's as simple as possible. Low tech product बनाने में कम profit है, high tech में ज्यादा है, तो इसलिए तुम high tech बनाओगे ना भाई. कौन इंसान नुकसान चाहता है? हर कोई profit ही चाहता है. So if A is true, people will concentrate more on high tech products. है ना? This will strengthen the argument. Here we have to talk about which one will weaken. A would strengthen, it will not weaken. Right? I think you got two things mixed up. Well, this is clear to everyone. And this will be all for today. Sorry, I know that you guys are expecting more out of it. A lot of you are expecting more. But this is the end of today's session. We discussed one poetry-based RC, that is for SAT, one reading comprehension set for all the exams, all the management exams, then one some para jumbles and one odd one out. I told you techniques. The techniques, this is not mathematics or science. We do not have hard written techniques over here. The techniques are based on experiences and observations. And the things that I have told you, just try to use that while solving any question and you will be feeling more comfortable. Okay, Chetna, I'm coming to your comment. You are saying, suppose the decision of why they should not go for high tech, so it will make authors claim weaken. Why? This talks about the low tech products are being purchased by the which are made by the foreign firms, right? So low tech product foreign firms से खरीद रहे हैं, इससे क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है हाई टेक प्रोडक्ट बनाने का? अच्छा, तुम ये कह रही हो कि लो टेक बाहर से खरीद लो, हाई टेक बना लो. That's what you're saying, Chetna? Now I got where you're coming from. You are thinking, you are feeling that if they will not have, they can just import the low tech, they can focus their concentration on high tech. The possibility that they buy both from the foreign, that's also possible, right, Chetna? So that is why option C is neither strengthening nor weakening. It is independent. It will have no effect at all. I hope that is clear. Cool. Well, so that's all for today, and I really enjoyed this, and so hope you guys are feeling more comfortable now. We'll meet again, not tomorrow, I think. Day after tomorrow, I'll be here again. Tomorrow you have a quant class with Sajjan sir, and day after there will be again a VAR session with me. So we'll meet day after tomorrow then. All right. Bye-bye. Take care. Good night. Have a great, it's not a weekend, have a great week. And study hard. Imran Hussain, ideal number question that you should attempt. If I say it's about 80% accuracy, then you should attempt close to 18 questions. That will be really good. शांभवी कोर्स कवर नहीं हो पाएगा. कोर्स तो क्रैश कोर्स में होगा ना. दिस प्री कैट क्रैश कोर्स. सो प्री क्रैश कोर्स बेसिकली अ काइंड ऑफ एन इंट्रोडक्शन to the real crash course. All right. Bye-bye, guys, everyone. Indrajit sir, he will teach, there are two kinds of classes. Someone just asked, Otaku Sama. Basically what happens, the two kind of class, one is live class, one is application class. So live class is taken care by me and Sajjan sir, and application class by Indrajit sir. So this is how, all three will be there for you. I'll be there for all the subjects. Don't worry about that. All right. Predak, no gossips. Not on YouTube. Okay. YouTube पे gossip नहीं करना चाहिए. What goes online stays online. All right. Ashish, क्या था आपका question? I just missed the question. Shambhavi for crash course details. I think again, go to website. That will be a great idea. Please go to the website and someone from my team, someone from the sales and administration team will get back to you. Just drop a message over there. Bye-bye, guys. Good night. आशीष का क्वेश्चन आ गया. एक्सोटिक बर्ड्स फार्म है मेरा, उस पे काम करना गैप ईयर होगा. थोड़ा और बात करनी पड़ेगा आशीष मुझसे. Ashish, you do one thing. Go to the website, drop a message that you want to talk to me, and they'll connect you to me. We'll talk about this in detail because I'll have to ask a lot of questions. Then only I can tell you whether it is a gap year or work experience. All right. Yeah, the live stream is ending. Bye-bye. Take care. Good night. If you want to contact me, just go through the website channel, and I'll be there for everyone. Okay. Bye. Good night.